Okay. Some games still going in round 4. This is a 3-0 match. Presumably at a 1-1 record. Let's check. Yup. See some pretty big guys on the Hogaak side. But a decent board on the soldiers' side as well. Golgari Gravecrawl does not trample right, it regenerates. Yeah, so only Hogaak tramples, but Iona flies, and Hogaak now has fear, so this looks pretty lethal without some blue interaction. Iona blocking anything like Path to Exile. I guess we tuned in for the end of that one. Let's see if any more 3-0 players are still playing. Here we go, here's another 3-0 match. Blue-white control V Yulzov and the Manlands are getting activated. That's the kind of magic you expect to see at the tail end of a round. Not a lot of lands in play here. I guess it's only turn 6, but only 3 lands for Yulzov. But Everflowing Chalice doing a pretty good impression of 3 lands. Search Fast Counter, a little way of being flipped. Timeless Dragon in the graveyard for blue-white if they want a blocker for these 2/3, although presumably that would maybe make a Tithing Blade or something come alive. They managed to dig without exiling the Timeless Dragon. Plenty to play for in this one. So it's counter now very far from being flipped, but giving a little bit of card selection at least. Found a 6th land on turn 7, so not too bad for blue-white. Not sure what got vindicated earlier. Maybe a Celestial Colonnade, probably. Maybe a clue. So it's just interesting to see if litkakashi thinks the double Shambling Vent play is still the right play after a dig through time. Seems like yes. Not that far off triple Shambling Vent here. Depending on Coalition Relic counters and such. So presumably we dug into an answer to the Shambling Vents, but maybe not. Okay, a Lagoon Breach. A fine answer if ever I saw one. It's the kind of thing I would have taken off dig there for sure. The old 6/6 on layaway. Approach of the Second Sun goes into the bin. I guess if you don't have a 7th land, however much that's your win con against black-white, you don't want to be drawing it right now. Presumably there's about 3 coming from the sideboard. And you only need 1. So some pressure on litkakashi to do something to prevent Kithkin's play just being putting the 6/6 in play end a turn and blanking the Shambling Vent plan. But they only have 2 cards after this relic, so maybe they don't have that option. Oh, and we are going for a big play, the Eternal Wanderer, which definitely calls for a counterspell. If they have one, well, they have one. That's not sufficient. Presumably just going to 2-for-1 themselves here to prevent this wildly unbeatable card hitting the battlefield. And so it proves. So corner kind of turned here. It seems extremely unlikely that the Shambling Vents can get there through Timeless Dragon and the 6/6. So they're only going to get a little incidental damage while Kithkin remains scared of, something like the Eternal Wanderer. And then as soon as there isn't that pressure, the 6/6 will come down and make that not good from that point on. And as counter flips as soon as next turn, assuming they don't want the top card or they think flipping as counter is better than the top card. So an uphill battle from here. Vindicate as counter puts things on a more even footing if it resolves. But 5 cards versus 1 card, so it's going to have to be a mighty fine card, I would guess. And yeah, they do get the opportunity to bring in the whale if they want. Probably nothing that Yozov can do instant speed to punish, so makes sense, and they do in fact cast it. Now, does blue-white feel in a strong enough position to start beating down? And maybe take the 2 on the backswing? Or 4? I guess probably not, but depends on hand, obviously. Well, here comes the beats. Maybe a Condemn or a Path or another whale in hand makes that feel pretty safe. Okay, Vindicate on the whale. Probably not worth countering this if they have a hard counter. Plenty of ways to win left in the deck. An opponent on 21, but maybe they have, multiple absorbs or forbids or something, and they feel pretty safe to just close out the game with it. Maybe a dig in response here, so they know what their options are. Or just let it go. Forbid buyback would be pretty grim for black-white. It's probably the worst possible outcome. Lets it go, and Yozov gets to fight another day. Trying to resolve something here, the last card in hand. Nope, just attacking for 2. Might see another whale here, if he has one. Seems like not. Untap into approach might be game winning here. Or even just making the Timeless Dragon and holding up a 3-mana counter, also good. Seems pretty unlikely that litkakashi is sandbagging a super great card and will draw a super great card. So yeah, making the dragon makes a lot of sense. But I guess Tithing Blade doesn't matter. Approach of the second sun will come eventually. Time doesn't seem like it'd be an issue here. Both players 8 minutes on the clock. So the dams are in post board. I guess having an answer to a dream trawler is important, and then sometimes they just do something like that. Off comes a couple of shambling vents, digging in for another 4. Maybe you can get there by nickel and diming, making not much pretense of having a post-combat play with the last card here. Possibly another removal spell. Blue-white with 6 cards in hand and just 2 man lands to contend with. Okay, just going after some mana here. Doesn't seem particularly strong to take them off mana, but maybe they have conditional counters in hand, No More Lies or even Phantom Interference, that they want to kind of try and make live, or make live in a turn where they also shambling vent or something like that. I don't know. Okay. Challenge extended. Can you deal with 2 shambling vents over 2 turns? Because if not, you will die despite the many riches in your hands. The damage goes through. So if it's all counter spells and wraths, Wheelsov is going to sneak this one out. Maybe the dig here, end of turn, that we sort of telegraphed earlier. Ah, no. Just going to gain 6 life. Better than dying. So approach here would be really strong. An answer to just one of the shambling vents seems like it would prolong the game almost indefinitely and lead to an approach win. Trawler is good if the last card in hand isn't a Tithing Blade or a Dam, or if you have a hard counter. There's presumably somewhere in the region of 7 answers to 6 answers to this card in the deck right now. 2 cards in hand. Some tapping and untapping to honor Briar Moss, the king of tapping and untapping in Penny Dreadful. Maybe an X spell. Oh, so this black-white is not our standard black-white. We're going here for a No More Lies proof Death Cloud for 3, which should empty both players' hands and kill the Dream Trawler. And it has, in fact, resolved. What did we have in hand? Blue-white had 2 Wrath of God and an Out of Air, which they could just not cast by 1 mana. Ouch. And Death Cloud has given up a Gideon ally Zendikar to be No More Lies proof there. But we now have a game, as they say. Blue-white down to 7, facing 2 2/3s.
I just want to say big misplay on the black-white player. He always an active land. I was like, he should have played Gideon there, but whatever.
Yeah, was Gideon also No More Lies proof? That's what they were playing around, I guess.
Right,
Great top deck from Kithkin. Just
resolved anyway, right? So.
Yeah, I don't know. So maybe that detention sphere is because they already seen Death Cloud and they just wanted to keep them off tons of mana for a really big Death Cloud that kills them or something. Maybe makes more sense of the detention sphere earlier. I don't know. Discarding a Gideon does seem profligate, although getting all 3 cards really good. So this Shambling Vent is now a 1/3 when it attacks. And who are you attacking here? Player, I guess. Just nibble down to 4 and maybe even 2 and 0 over the next 2 turns. If you draw a land. Oh no, there's your need. How many lands do they need to activate the second vent? Just one more? Yeah, I'm pretty curious not to try and utilize the Gideon in some way, but maybe working out. I feel like they have to plus the Jace, otherwise the 2 vents together, if they can both be activated, are lethal. But they're lethal over 2 turns. 1, 2, 3, 6. So they just need another black or white source in order to be able to activate both. They have enough mana, but some of it's colourless. Chip them down to 3, I guess. Time ever so slightly becoming a factor, but presumably this will all be resolved one way or the other. Before that happens, oh, Obscura Storefront looking terrible here. Would have been so much better to do 2 damage that turn. But I guess that threat is now active for next turn. Drawing cards. Taking up. Okay. So 2 cards in hand, but if they don't do anything against the manlands, going to 2 here. And with a backup manland. Might be seeing... I mean, if Jace gets to 8 next turn, and then ultimates, they could find maybe a Yorion or and their own trawler. That's pretty strong. Finely poised, I guess. Depends a lot on what these 2 cards in hand for each player are. The Jace can always be cashed in from mini factor fiction if the blue-white player feels like they're in real trouble. Presumably there's some condemns and at least one more whale somewhere that would be highly relevant, and a dream trawler that would be highly relevant. Okay, so we're just kicking the chalice this turn in order to attack with 2 vents on future turns, or evade conditional counterspells, or slammer lethal death cloud, or many other things. So giving up 1 damage. Jay's now on 8, so if you're black-white here, are you attacking your opponent down to 1, or are you attacking the Jace to avoid a Dream Trawler coming into play? You probably have to attack the Jace. With at least 1, maybe both of your dudes. Assuming you didn't draw Death Cloud for 3 or something. Tournament admin. Okay, so Akaya has resolved and put Kithkin very, very, very close to dead. Here comes the lethal shambling vent. Do we have a whale or a condemn or a path or a Heliod's intervention or something amongst these 3 cards in hand? And if not, should we have minus Jace? Well, it seems like not, with 2.5 minutes on the clock. Black-white does the black-white thing and grinds out its opponent. I would guess that was the last match. Yeah, looks like it. Good luck in the rest, folks.